In 2019, in a conservation laboratory at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem, a woman in nitrile gloves lifts a leather bag from a climate-controlled storage case. The bag was recovered from a sealed cave system in the Judean desert. Carbon dating places it at approximately the 1st century before the Common Era. The leather is goat skin, a single piece, folded and stitched along two edges with sinew, hair side out. 38 centimeters wide, 30 centimeters deep, 340 grams empty. The smell that rises from it is not what anyone expects. It does not smell like leather. It smells dry and faintly mineral, like cave limestone mixed with old paper, the residue of 2,000 years of still, desiccated air sealed in darkness. The conservator places the bag on acid-free tissue. She opens it. She begins to remove the contents. She weighs each item. She photographs each item. She documents each item with the quiet, methodical precision of someone who has done this hundreds of times and still treats each object as though it might disintegrate under a careless touch. When the last item is removed and weighed and placed on the work surface, she writes a number at the bottom of the inventory report. 1.84 kilograms. That is the total weight of the bag and everything inside it. 7 items, made entirely of natural materials, assembled at zero manufacturing cost. And those 7 items, together, address 8 primary survival variables in one of the most hostile operational environments on Earth. Water procurement, fire starting, food, predator defense, navigation, shelter construction, medical treatment, equipment maintenance. 1.84 kilograms, the average American bug-out bag. The 72-hour emergency kit that sits in closets and garages and basements across the country weighs between 15 and 25 kilograms. It contains an average of 47 individual items. It costs between $300 and $2,000 to assemble. It addresses the same survival variables, but with significant gaps in predator defense, field repairability, and long-term supply chain independence. And it weighs, at minimum, 8 times what the shepherd's bag weighs. This video is going to remove every item from that bag. It is going to document every function of every item. It is going to compare each item to its modern commercial equivalent. And the inventory is about to begin. But first, a correction. The word that gets applied to this kind of artifact, the word that appears in Sunday school materials and wilderness survival forums and biblical study guides, is simple. The shepherd's bag is described as simple. That word is wrong. Simple means fewer functions. A rock is simple. A stick is simple. The shepherd's bag is not simple. It is integrated. And that distinction matters more than any individual component comparison. Integrated means no wasted weight. It means every gram in the system carries multiple functions. It means every function in the system is supported by multiple components. It means every component can be field repaired or field replaced from materials available in the operational environment. The modern survival kit is not integrated. It is categorized. Fire category, water category, food category, medical category, shelter category, navigation category, defense category, each category addressed by its own set of single-function items. None of those items support the functions of any other category. All of them require manufactured replacement when depleted or broken. The shepherd's bag has no categories. It has a system, and the system weighs 1.84 kilograms. That number is not a limitation. It is the design specification. And it has not needed to change in 4,000 years. The bag on the table was found in a cave sealed by natural rockfall for approximately 2 millennia. It was found alongside textile fragments, pottery sherds, and the desiccated remains of food stores. But the bag was the only complete kit, the only object that was still packed. Still loaded, still arranged as though someone had set it down, intending to pick it up again, and never returned. The operational environment this bag was designed for is the Judean wilderness and the northern Negev desert, a specific geographic region with specific, measurable survival challenges. Annual rainfall in the central Judean desert ranges from 2 to 4 inches. There are no permanent surface water sources across large sections of the operational territory. Daytime temperatures in summer routinely reach 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Nighttime temperatures in winter can drop to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. That is a 65-degree differential within a single 24-hour cycle requiring active thermal management. Active, not passive. The predator profile is documented in both the archaeological record and the biblical text: wolves, leopards, and bears. The leopard population in the Judean desert persisted into the modern era, and wolves remain present in the northern Negev. A shepherd managing a flock of 30 to 60 animals across terrain with no roads, no shelters, no supply points, and no communication infrastructure needed to solve 6 primary survival problems simultaneously: predator defense, water procurement, fire, food, navigation in total darkness across unmarked terrain, and emergency medical treatment without access to any external supply chain. 6 problems, 7 items, 0 redundant weight. The conservator picks up the first items: 5 river stones. They sit in her gloved palm with a density that makes them feel heavier than they are. 45 grams each. Smooth. Rounded by millennia of water erosion to a specific frictionless quality. A surface so uniform that the stones almost slip against each other. They are cool to the touch, even after sitting in a room temperature environment. The thermal mass of dense stone holding temperature slightly below ambient. These are not random stones. They are selected stones, chosen for weight uniformity, for roundness, for a surface quality that allows clean release from a leather sling pouch. With them, coiled beneath them in the bag, is a leather sling strip. 90 centimeters of leather cord, the working end split into a pouch, the retention end looped for finger grip. The sling weighs 85 grams. The 5 stones and the sling together weigh 310 grams. This is the shepherd's primary tool, not a weapon of last resort, the primary tool. In 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 40, the text describes David selecting 5 smooth stones from the brook and placing them in his shepherd's bag before facing Goliath. That passage is routinely read as the underdog story, the boy against the giant. But read against the ethnographic and archaeological record, it describes standard shepherd field preparation. The bag, the sling, the stones, standard equipment. In Judges chapter 20 verse 16, the text documents 700 left-handed slingers who could sling a stone at a hair's breadth and not miss. That is not poetic license. That is a description of trained military capability derived directly from the shepherd's daily practice of flock management. The effective range of a 45-gram river stone propelled by a trained slinger is approximately 30 meters against a predator target with sufficient terminal energy to stun or kill a wolf. At 100 meters, the same stone can redirect a straying animal with an impact that causes pain without injury. At 300 meters, the acoustic signature of the stone, cutting through air, serves as a directional signal to another shepherd, a sound that carries across open terrain where voice does not. The muzzle velocity ranges from 30 to 40 meters per second, depending on the slinger's technique and the length of the sling arm. That is comparable to many commercial sidearms. The modern equivalent of this system would be a firearm. A serviceable handgun costs approximately $600. A loaded magazine weighs 500 grams and contains 20 rounds. Each round is a manufactured product requiring industrial infrastructure to produce. The firearm requires mechanical maintenance, lubrication, environmental protection from sand and moisture, and temperature extremes. It requires a legal framework. It fails when submerged. It fails when fouled with fine desert sand. It fails when the ammunition supply is exhausted. The sling requires no ammunition supply. The stones are available in every riverbed, every rocky hillside, every stretch of terrain in the operational environment. The leather is maintained with oil already carried in the bag. If the sling breaks, it can be repaired or replaced with leather cut from the bag itself. 310 grams versus approximately 1.1 kilograms for the firearm system, and the 310-gram system has an infinite ammunition supply and zero maintenance dependency. The conservator places the stones and the sling on the work surface and writes the weight in her report. Beneath the sling, wrapped carefully in a fold of the goatskin, is the fire kit. 3 components: a juniper hearthboard weighing 180 grams, a tamarisk spindle weighing 45 grams, a tinder bundle of dried plant fiber weighing 30 grams, total weight 255 grams. The smell of the juniper board, even after 2,000 years, is faintly present. Sharp, resinous. At the spindle socket, a darkened ring of char where the friction point has been used repeatedly, there is a trace of smoke scent, embedded in the wood grain and sealed by centuries of dry air. This is a bow drill fire-starting system. The specific pairing of juniper and tamarisk is not accidental. Juniper is dense enough to resist rapid wear at the friction point, but soft enough to produce the fine dust that ignites when heated by sustained friction. Tamarisk has a grain structure that maximizes rotational grip while minimizing the energy required to maintain rotation speed. This pairing was arrived at through generations of field testing in the specific environment where these woods grow. Under trained hands, this system produces a glowing ember in under 90 seconds. In moderate wind, the tinder bundle catches from the ember within seconds, and the fire is established. But the fire kit is not only a fire kit. This is where the integration architecture of the shepherd's bag becomes apparent for the first time. The hearthboard, when not being used for fire, serves as a cutting surface, a rigid platform for processing food or materials. It serves as a splint, its flat, rigid surface ideal for immobilizing a fractured limb. It serves as a friction surface for twisting cord from raw fiber. The spindle, when not being used for fire, serves as a digging tool for extracting roots or creating drainage channels. It serves as a pestle for grinding medicinal herbs or seeds against the hearthboard surface. The tinder bundle, when not needed for fire starting, serves as wound packing material, its fibrous structure ideal for absorbing blood and promoting clot formation. It serves as a pre-filter for water, straining sediment and particulate matter before consumption. 3 objects. 3 primary functions. 6 secondary functions. 255 grams. The modern equivalent is a ferrocerium striker rod. $15, 65 grams. It produces sparks reliably when the striking surface is dry. It has no secondary functions. It cannot be field replaced from natural materials if lost or damaged. It produces sparks, not sustained friction heat, and will not ignite materials that are damp or compacted, materials that the bow drill system's sustained heat would catch. If you are in a suburban environment with manufactured tinder available, the ferrocerium rod is faster and lighter. If you are in a field environment where every gram must justify its presence through multiple functions, the ancient fire kit outperforms its modern replacement by a margin that is not close. The next item the conservator removes is a flat, pressed piece of dried meat, 5 millimeters thick, 180 grams. The color is dark brown, almost black at the edges. The surface slightly crystalline, with salt deposits. The Hebrew term is tisida, field provisions, documented in Joshua chapter 9 verse 5 in the account of the Gibeonites carrying dry and crumbly provisions, in 1 Samuel chapter 25 verse 18 in the account of Abigail bringing provisions to David's men, and in 2 Samuel chapter 16 verse 1 as standard field supply. This is not artisanal food preparation. This is field survival technology. The meat has been salted and sun-dried at high temperature, producing a sodium concentration of approximately 400 to 600 milligrams per 50-gram serving. That sodium content is not incidental. It is, whether by intention or by 4,000 years of observational refinement, precisely the electrolyte replacement dose required per hour of sustained exertion in a high-heat environment. Modern exercise physiology prescribes 300 to 600 milligrams of sodium per hour during endurance activity in heat. The ancient ration delivers that dose in a single serving. The protein content sustains muscular function during multi-day field operations. The secondary applications emerge as the meat is consumed. The rendered fat serves as a skin conditioner in a desert environment where exposed skin cracks, fissures, and becomes a vector for infection. The fat serves as a moisture barrier applied directly over wounds, sealing the wound bed from environmental contaminants. The fat serves as a fire accelerant, added to a tinder bundle to extend burn time and increase flame intensity. 180 grams, complete protein, precise electrolyte replacement, 3 secondary functional applications, 6 to 12 months shelf life without refrigeration, without packaging, without cold chain. The modern equivalent is a $4.50 packet of commercial beef jerky. 85 grams, 590 milligrams of sodium per 28-gram serving. Nutritionally competitive, palatable, requires intact foil packaging, degrades in humidity, has no secondary applications whatsoever. When the packaging is breached, the product has a shelf life measured in days. 3 components extracted. 3 primary survival functions addressed. 6 secondary functions documented. 745 grams on the scale, and the bag is not half empty. Every person watching this has a survival kit or a bug-out bag, or at minimum a mental model of what emergency preparedness looks like. And every one of those models was built around a single assumption, that preparedness means acquisition. More items, better items, newer items. The shepherd's bag documents a different assumption entirely. That preparedness means integration. That the measure of a survival system is not how many items it contains, but how many functions each item performs, how many problems each component solves that no other component needs to solve, and how much the total system weighs when every function has been accounted for. 7 items, 8 functions, 1.84 kilograms. The Complete Modern Replication Guide, a step-by-step protocol for assembling a functionally equivalent kit using modern materials, with sourcing recommendations, weight targets, and functional testing drills for each component, is in the pinned comment below this video. It was derived directly from this archaeological inventory and validated against current wilderness survival field standards. Save it. The rest of the bag is about to open. The conservator lifts the next item with particular care, a small clay vessel sealed with beeswax. The vessel weighs 95 grams. The oil inside, 120 grams. The beeswax seal, 15 grams. Total, 230 grams. When the conservator carefully scores the beeswax with a scalpel and opens the seal, the oil inside is visible. It is amber. Not the clear, bright gold of commercially filtered olive oil, but a slightly cloudy amber, the color of something pressed from the fruit within the last growing season and sealed immediately without refinement. This is a medical kit, a maintenance kit, a fuel source, and a food preparation medium in a single container weighing less than a cup of coffee. The biblical references are specific and functional. In Luke chapter 10, verse 34, the Samaritan pours oil and wine into the wounds of the beaten traveler. In Isaiah chapter 1, verse 6, wounds are described as not being closed or bound up or soothed with oil. In Psalm 23, verse 5, the shepherd anoints with oil, a reference not to religious ceremony, but to the standard field treatment of head wounds on livestock from predator attacks and thorn lacerations. The antimicrobial properties of olive oil have been documented in laboratory studies. The minimum inhibitory concentration against Staphylococcus aureus, The primary wound infection pathogen in field environments has been established at 6.25% concentration. Applied directly to a wound, the oil creates a lipid barrier that simultaneously slows bacterial colonization, maintains wound moisture at the level required for healing, and prevents the environmental contamination that leads to sepsis. Beyond wound treatment, the oil conditions leather. In the Judean desert environment, where relative humidity drops below 15% for weeks at a time, untreated leather dries, cracks, and fails. The sling, the bag, the strap, all require periodic oil application to maintain structural integrity. The oil serves as a fire accelerant, added to tinder or fuel to increase ignition reliability and extend burn time. It serves as a lip and skin moisture barrier against the cracking and fissuring caused by extreme dryness and UV exposure. It serves as lamp fuel poured into a shallow depression in stone or pottery with a fiber wick, producing a sustained flame for night navigation, signaling, or warmth. It serves as a food preparation medium for cooking foraged plants or animal protein. The modern equivalent of this single vessel is a $12 commercial first aid kit weighing 340 grams, containing adhesive bandages, antiseptic wipes, antibiotic ointment packets, gauze pads, and medical tape. Each item serving a single function, each item packaged individually in materials that cannot be repurposed, each item carrying a manufactured expiration date of 3 years after which the entire kit must be discarded and replaced. 230 grams versus 340 grams. 7 functions versus 1 function per item. Infinite shelf life versus 3 years. Field replaceable from any olive grove versus dependent on a commercial supply chain. The conservator seals a small sample of the oil in an archival vial for further analysis and notes the weight in her report. The cord comes next. 3 meters of twisted wool with a bone hook lashed to one end. The cord weighs 95 grams. The hook weighs 8 grams. Total, 103 grams. The construction of the cord is specific to archaeological textile finds from the Judean desert caves. 2-ply, Z-twisted, with a diameter of approximately 4 millimeters. When doubled, the tensile strength reaches approximately 80 kilograms. That figure is not competitive with modern synthetic cordage on a straight tensile comparison. Modern 550 paracord is rated to 250 kilograms. But the wool cord has a property that the synthetic cord does not. When wet, it retains approximately 80% of its tensile strength. Plant fiber cordage, the other natural alternative, loses 40 to 60% of its strength when saturated. In an environment where flash floods in wadis are a seasonal threat and water crossings are necessary, that retention of wet strength is not a marginal advantage. It is the difference between a shelter that holds and one that collapses. The wool cord is also field repairable. If a section frays or breaks, new fiber can be twisted into the existing cord from any available wool source, extending its length and restoring its strength without tools beyond the user's hands. The bone hook at the end of the cord is a multi-tool in 8 grams. It serves as a fishing hook when the cord is used as a line. It serves as a needle for stitching fabric, leather, or wound closures. It serves as an awl for piercing holes in leather or bark. It serves as a leather stitching tool for repairing the bag, the sling, or the strap. The cord itself functions as a snare line for small game. It functions as a shelter tie-down in wind. It functions as an animal tether. It functions as an emergency tourniquet with sufficient applied pressure to occlude arterial blood flow. It functions as pack lashing. It functions as splint binding. When the fire kit is in use, a section of cord wrapped around the spindle converts the hand drill into a bow drill, dramatically increasing rotational speed and reducing the physical effort required for ignition. The modern equivalent is a roll of 550 paracord, $8, 100 grams, 7 inner strands providing equivalent or greater tensile strength in dry conditions. No integrated hook, no field replenishment pathway from natural materials, and a synthetic construction that melts rather than frays at high temperatures, which eliminates its use near fire, near cooking surfaces, or in any application where heat proximity is unavoidable. The conservator now examines the bag itself, not as a container, but as the sixth component of the system. 340 grams of goatskin, hair side out. The texture on the exterior is slightly waxy, the natural lanolin and sebaceous oils of the goat preserved in the hair follicles even after 2 millennia. The interior, the flesh side, is smooth, almost papery, where it has been scraped clean and dried, carrying a surface quality that resists moisture absorption. This bag is not a passive vessel. It is an active survival component. When dampened and soaked, the goat skin expands, the fibers swelling to create a waterproof membrane. In this expanded state, the bag can hold 8 to 10 liters of water. That is a water carrying capacity that exceeds every commercial hydration bladder of equivalent weight on the current market. The same bag, filled with water and heated by dropping fire-heated stones inside, becomes a cooking vessel. This is the stone boiling method documented in archaeological sites across the ancient Near East and the Levant, still practiced by contemporary Bedouin as an emergency field cooking technique. The heated stones transfer thermal energy to the water rapidly, bringing it to a boil without exposing the skin to direct flame. The hair side of the bag, worn outward against the body in cold conditions, provides thermal insulation. The individual hairs trap a layer of still air against the body surface, reducing radiative and convective heat loss in the same way that animal fur functions on the living animal. Laid flat on the ground, the bag serves as a moisture barrier between the sleeper and the earth, preventing the conductive heat loss and ground moisture absorption that accelerate hypothermia in cold desert nights. And if the bag sustains damage, a torn seam, a puncture, a worn section, it can be repaired using the bone hook and the wool cord that are already contained within it. No external tools. No manufactured patches. No adhesives. 340 grams of goat skin, performing 5 distinct survival functions and repairable with components already present in the kit. The final element documented in the inventory is not inside the bag. It is the interface between the bag and the shepherd's staff. The woven wool strap, documented in iconographic sources from the ancient Near East and in contemporary Bedouin ethnographic studies, attaches the bag to the staff at its midpoint. The staff itself, a straight hardwood rod, approximately 1.5 meters long, adds approximately 1.9 kilograms to the system. The total kit weight bag and staff combined reaches approximately 3.2 kilograms. The staff serves as a carrying frame, distributing the bag's weight across the shoulder rather than concentrating it in the hand, freeing both hands for flock management. It serves as a predator deterrent, a weighted striking tool capable of delivering sufficient force to repel a wolf or redirect a large predator. It serves as a terrain probe, the leading tip testing the stability of ground before the shepherd commits body weight, critical in darkness, in unfamiliar terrain, in the loose shale and crumbling limestone of the Judean desert, where a misstep can mean a broken ankle with no evacuation capability. It serves as a measuring rod, its known length used to assess water depth at crossings, channel width, and the height of obstacles. It serves as an emergency splint, its rigid length ideal for immobilizing a fractured limb when lashed in place with the wool cord. And the critical finding is this: no item inside the bag duplicates a function provided by the staff. The staff provides no function that duplicates any item in the bag. Zero functional redundancy. Complete functional coverage. One system. 7 internal components. On external component, 8 survival variables addressed. 3.2 kilograms total. The conservator has now replaced each item in the bag, reversing the order of removal. Stones wrapped and positioned first. Fire kit placed where it will not be crushed by the weight of the stones. Dried meat secured against the interior wall. The clay vessel positioned at the center of mass to prevent shifting during transport. The cord coiled and placed on top for quick access. The bag is closed. The strap is folded alongside it. The complete kit goes back into the storage case. The case is sealed. The documentation is updated. And this is the moment when the system architecture finding becomes unavoidable. The shepherd's bag is not 7 objects. It is one system with 7 expression points. Each expression point addresses a primary survival variable that none of the other expression points address. Each expression point provides secondary functions that reduce the weight burden of the others. Each expression point is constructed from materials available in the operational environment. Each expression point is field repairable with tools and materials contained within the same system. The total weight of the system is 1.84 kilograms. The modern 72-hour bug-out bag is not one system. It is 47 objects organized by category: fire, water, food, shelter, medical, navigation, defense, each category addressed by dedicated single-function items. Significant functional overlap between categories. Certain problems addressed by 3 or 4 different items. Significant functional gaps between categories. Certain problems addressed by no items at all. A total weight of 15 to 25 kilograms that degrades mobility, increases caloric requirement per hour of movement, and accelerates the dehydration that the water category is specifically designed to prevent. The weight of the bag is not just a logistical burden. It is a metabolic cost that compounds every survival variable it was meant to address. The inventory finding is not that the ancient kit is better than the modern kit in every dimension. It is not. The modern Ferrocerium Striker produces ignition faster than a friction fire kit. The commercial beef jerky is more palatable and more precisely formulated than salt-dried field meat. The 550 paracord has a higher rated tensile strength than twisted wool cord. The modern firearm has greater range, greater accuracy, and greater stopping power than a leather sling. The finding is about system performance. The ancient kit is better as a system. Its integration architecture, where every component supports the functions of every other component, produces a capability density that no modern kit achieves. Its field repairability produces a supply chain independence that no modern kit attempts. Its zero manufactured component dependency means that no factory, no mine, no polymer plant, no ammunition press needs to exist for the kit to function. And its 1.84 kilogram total weight means that the person carrying it moves faster, fatigues slower, dehydrates less, and requires fewer calories than the person carrying 15 kilograms of categorized modern equipment. That is a weight-to-function ratio, expressed in kilograms and survival variables, and the ancient number is smaller by an order of magnitude. The inventory report is filed. The photographs are catalogued. The weight measurements are archived. And on the last line of the report, the same number that appeared on the first line when the conservator placed the bag on the scale. 1.84 kilograms. That number has not changed in 4,000 years. The question it poses is not whether the ancient system is superior to the modern one. The question is whether the principle it demonstrates, that survival depends not on the number of tools carried, but on the number of functions each tool performs, will be understood before or after the systems built on the opposite assumption are tested against conditions they were never designed to survive.